Welcome to FYI. I'm Barry ZeVAN. No big deal, but a big deal for our guest is our guest today, I should say. So why don't you say it? His name is Layton Traver, and I'm very proud to say he's a good friend and also a member of the St. Andrew's Society, of which I am also a member. And it's just a joy because Layton and his wife Nola Walter are so into Scottish weaving. It's the St. Croix Weaving.
Yes.
Okay, and based in Hudson, Wisconsin.
Right.
Yeah. And how does a person get into weaving kilts and everything else, sashes, the whole works? How does that? How did that happen?
My wife taught herself to weave about 40 years ago. And we got married in 1990, and at that point she bought a larger loom, about 6 feet square, big enough to do all the products we make. So where we got into weaving tartan, though, started 20 years ago because I'm a Hannah, and we had gone to Scotland twice, and I said, well, weave me something in my tartan. Well, I never got that, but we got a business. So she's the weaver. Her story is that I'm the one in charge of smart talking, which means marketing. So I'm in charge of getting us into all the Scottish festivals that we do. And most of the time I warp the loom on the back, which is putting all the long threads. So my job takes hour and a half tops. She gets to sit there for the rest of the day and throw the shuttle back and forth to weave these pieces. And of course, sometimes there's a little bit of, you're not done already, are you? Yeah, so, but that's how we got started. The other thing that got us into the Scottish part of it is my great-grandmother is Scottish, and she lived next door to me when I was a little kid. So my grandmother always talked about being Scottish, and both my wife and I are enthusiastic Scotch whiskey drinkers. So years ago, I had bought from Liquor Depot over here a VHR tape with samples, and we watched it, and I said, we gotta go there. So in 1995, we went to Scotland the first time. 98 was the second time, and we happened to be in the same town that Madonna got married in the same weekend, which was a bit of a zoo. So, and also on that same trip, we became life members of Clan Hannah, which is one of the Scottish clans, and our clan chief is a doctor. He has 2 estates in southern Scotland. So what we ended up doing then is we started weaving products, and it took us about a year to figure out what can you weave in about a day so that you can price it so that someone can buy it, because we're fairly expensive anyway. So we make about 12 different products. The only thing we don't make are kilts and yardage. So we do a lot of apparel items, we do table linens, we do golf towels, we do backpacks. We do a man's handkerchief, and then our invention, we do a lady's necklace. And we weave in any tartan. We are members of the 2 registries in Scotland, so that's how we make sure we weave correctly.
What's the reason for not weaving kilts?
2 problems. We weave in tinsel, which is like rayon, but it feels like silk. It's an extruded wood product, yarn. And we weave in cotton, neither of which hold a pleat. In a wool kilt, those pleats are ironed in the back, and they stay for life. If you tried to make a kilt with these 2 yarns, you'd have to either sew the pleats in, which also means if you're going to cut it and it's hand woven, it'll unravel, which kilts don't. So then you'd have to fusion back it. And my joke is, if you fusion back it, you lose the swish that the ladies like. And the other big reason is the lady that did my kilt, she spent 5 years as an apprentice, and all she was allowed to do is the buttonhole on one side. And it took her, I think she told me, 3 or 4 days to do my kilt. Now, one of the guys in my clan years ago was doing his own. He had spent 2 years on it already. Kilt's 8 to 9 yards. And the pleats in the back, they're usually over 30. So when you sew those pleats in, every single thread has to line up so that folded it looks exactly the same as the front.
Wow.
Which is why you can't do a kilt by machine. So even the ones that are now made in Pakistan, which is polyester, those still have to be hand sewn.
Wow.
But good kilts out of Scotland are 8 to 9 yards. They're all wool, and typically they're about $700 US, which basically is a really good suit that you can wear for the rest of your life, because they'll last a lifetime usually.
Sure. Yeah, I bought my only kilt in London at a place called the Scotch House.
Sure.
And it made me angry. They should have said the Scottish House, of course.
Yeah.
But it was $400.
Yeah.
And that was
That was a good price.
And that was 1975 or 76. Yeah. So
Now, the last one I got 2 trips ago to Scotland. We've made 9 trips. The lady that runs the shop that did mine originally had one in the district that my clan is from. And it turned out she had it for 200 pounds, which is basically $300 US. So I had to take that one home too.
Oh, absolutely.
So I wear that one alternatively because mine has so much white in it. We do these outdoor Scottish festivals, the one we just finished in Colorado Springs. It rained for 2 days, and I haven't had to get it cleaned yet, so I'm kind of keeping it at home most of the time.
Do you feel safe bringing them to a cleaner?
I haven't yet,
Oh, you
and
haven't?
they tell you not to take it to a dry cleaner, so I'm not sure what you do with them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's the only cleaner I can think of.
Yeah, I think it's a dry cleaning process, and I probably should check with somebody in Scotland to see what they say, but they tell you don't do a regular dry cleaning process.
Sure.
I'm not sure what that means.
Little sidebar on whiskey. One of the trips, I've only been to Scotland 3 times,
Okay.
but on one of the trips, it was around Christmas time, and there's a village north of Glasgow called Alexandria,
Right?
and went to the J&B whiskey factory there, and this fellow said, since it's so cold and no tourists now, we'll take you and your friend on a little tour of the factory. So the bottles, the fill-up process, there was so much being spilled on the floor. And
Really?
I thought,
Get a sponge.
yeah, something, because you're wasting all this money. And he said, well, don't worry about that. He said, when these bottles, before they leave the building, he said, they are worth about $2 maybe. He said, with the taxes and everything after they leave the building, we're not worried about the price.
Oh, okay. So were they small bottles?
Oh, no, they were the big
Really?
fifths, yeah.
Yeah.
And it really surprised me. But he did, and of course the odor in the building, I mean, you'd get drunk breathing.
The angel share is
Touche.
what they call it when they've got it in the barrel.
Oh,
What
really?
evaporates, they call the angel share.
Well, he had us taste. He said, I'm going to tell you how to drink it, and you obviously would know. He said, get whatever amount you want in your mouth and just hold it there on your tongue for at least 10 seconds till your tongue starts burning. He said, then swallow it, and it's so smooth you won't feel any burning down your throat.
Exactly.
So that was, at least I learned that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting. Well, Scotland itself is such a beautiful country and such incredible people. I mean, they're really, and you would know as much as anybody, they're so unique in their history. And we have this organization called the St. Andrews Society, and of which I've been very proud and pleased to be the president the past couple of years. But for people of a younger age, I don't know what the reasoning is or whatever. Why would they not have more interest in their heritage? I can't understand it, because you have said that around the country there have been some Scottish fairs that don't exist anymore, et cetera. Any thoughts about why?
Well,
they don't?
what is interesting, there's been a resurgence in spirits. So people are drinking Scotch whiskey. I'm on a Facebook page called Scotch Addicts. These are people from all over the world, and most of them are I would guess, probably in their 30s or 40s. But I'm not sure what the heritage, why there isn't as much interest. Now, I did my genealogy when I was probably in my 40s, and I gave all that information to my 2 daughters, but I don't know if they've ever looked at it. So I don't know. We do typically 14 Scottish festivals around the United States every year, and most of the clan booths, which are typically a Scottish last name, most of those booths are manned by people in their 70s and 80s. And that's probably why some of these Scottish festivals have closed, because there's not enough interest. Now, we've got one coming up here in Minnesota, July 20th, and that's in Egan. And we had a really good turnout last year of people. Most of them probably aren't Scottish, but it's a free admission. So we had a really good turnout last year. So maybe we will find more people. And I talk to as many people as I can when they come to our booth and ask about tartan and what we make, and looking up their name and what tartan goes with their name. And sometimes, in many cases, I've got some stories to tell them about places in Scotland that I've been to that may or may not relate to the name they're part of. But I don't know, it's kind of sad. I find it fascinating. History alone is of Scotland, and people ask what it's like, and I said, well, basically it's about the size of Wisconsin, but in 50 miles you can go from flat land to mountains to seacoast and see a ton of waterfalls and thousands of castles all over the place. I mean, and we're spoiled here because Iceland Air flies us from here in Minneapolis right to Glasgow.
Oh, wow.
And they typically are a little bit less expensive than the main airlines too. So
wow, that's marvelous. Yeah, those are great tips for people who either do have an interest in Scotland or are developing an interest in Scotland, to know that. Yeah. Iceland Air is, in my opinion, one of the better airlines. They have a pretty great reputation. Have you found that?
Yes, they're excellent. What was strange, though, is we first started flying with them in the early 2000s. And at the time, in coach, you got roast duck, salmon salad, wine with your meal. Now my wife's joke is you have to buy the pilot a sandwich.
Touche, touche.
One of the things that people ask us fairly often at Scottish festivals is, what's a tartan? And some people confuse tartan with a kilt. Tartan is the design that's woven into cloth. Kilt is what you make out of it to wear, besides other things like scarves and things. But the difference, and then the other one they ask is, what's the difference between a tartan and a plaid? In the United States, plaid is a generic term, so all tartans are plaids, but not all plaids are tartans, and tartans get registered in Scotland. Plaid actually means an actual garment. So their generic term is called a checked fabric, if it's not actually a tartan. So there's a little bit of confusion on some of the websites when people talk about plaid versus things that aren't tartan, but that's the reason.
Thank you for that explanation. That's wonderful. I hope you're learning a lot. I sure am. And thanks to your wonderful history. What are some of the more unusual either places you've visited or things that have happened during the Scottish festivals? Anything exciting or new?
Well, in the early part of the year, it's always a weather problem. So we just finished a Scottish festival in Colorado Springs called Pikes Peak. We got rained out both Saturday and Sunday. And since you typically have a tent booth that's outside, not indoors, weather's a big factor. But a couple of the interesting things is we had a young couple who came up and she spotted her tartan right away. She's a McDonald. And I tell this story to every McDonald I run into after that. Her husband picked up the item and looked at our tag and he said, "I'm not sure this is your tartan, it's McKine." And I said, "Yeah, and it's McKine washable too." And he said, "I'm never going to live that one down." So the back of the tag said you can machine wash this item, whereas the front side of the tag had the name McDonald on it. That's one of the funniest ones we've had.
Do you also advertise on the internet?
We have a website. We do not have a actual store on it, and the reason is there are over 12,000 tartans. They're adding 20 to 30 a month. I get an email for every new one. And say you're a steward. You have 30 different tartans. Each of those could be in what we call modern, ancient, and weathered colors. Modern is how it's registered, and the other two are mimicking what that would have looked like if it faded over time. So ancient is partially faded. Weathered pretty much means you take all the color out. So most weathered tartans you see are either tan and gray variations, whereas ancient tartans are light green, light blue, and orange, and modern ones would be dark green, dark blue, and red. So you have 6 basic colors, those, yellow, white, and black, and then all kinds of variations besides that.
I have, my kilt is a Royal Stewart.
Right, the red one.
Red, yeah,
Yeah.
with the blue and the, yeah.
And we joke about that one too,
Okay.
because royal technically means only one person's supposed to wear it. That's the Queen. But everybody in Scotland wears it too, and it's in every gift shop, and of course here you see it all the time at Christmas time. But for Clan Stewart, that actually isn't their clan tartan. Their clan tartan is actually dark green, dark blue with a couple of red lines in it.
Oh my gosh.
And so the one we weave the most, of course, is the red one.
Sure.
And then if you change that big red panel to white, you get Stewart dress. If you change that same panel to black, you get Stewart black.
Wow.
But the other one we get a lot in questions is, well, I'm looking for my old tartan. And I have to tell them that technically the old tartan is the one that's called modern. So all tartans registered in Scotland except 2 are registered in what's called modern colors. The Scottish weavers, being good businessmen, said, well, if you don't like them that dark, we'll create a faded one and we'll call it ancient. And we'll create another one that's even more faded and we'll call it weathered. So the confusion is, wait, ancient and weathered are newer than the modern one, and that's true.
Very interesting. Woo.
So it's a little bit confusing, but it's all based on the color, not how old it is.
Wow. Have you displayed at the Edinburgh Festival ever?
No, we've been to Edinburgh twice. One of these days we might get over there for the tattoo, but a couple of years ago at the Phoenix Scottish Festival, a guy was walking by in a weathered tartan, and I recognized it right away. It turns out he's the chief of Clan Anderson and lives in Scotland.
Wow.
So he nominated me to join the Scottish Antiquarian Society, which you become a fellow of Scottish antiquarians, and it was founded in 1793. It's basically about history and all things Scottish. So in the Twin Cities, I think we have maybe a dozen or 20 FSA fellows.
Wow.
And then the last few years, we've been having a banquet at Stone Mountain when the Stone Mountain Games are in October.
Down in Georgia?
Right.
Yeah. What's the reaction to Americans from Scottish people about how interested and how people like yourself are perpetuating their history?
Well, a couple things happened. Braveheart cranked up everybody, including Scotland. And the other one that was interesting, when Burns did the special on the national parks and did Yosemite, they said, well, John Muir, his house is still here. And so they're pretty positive about it. Every once in a while you get somebody that says, well, if you weren't born in Scotland, you're not really Scottish. But if you have ancestry in Scotland, they're very accepting.
Well, I was with a friend, and I wore this was in Edinburgh. Mm-hmm. We had just finished dinner, and it was nighttime, of course. Went down on Arthur Street to, I think it's a statue of Robert Burns.
Right.
And I had my kilt on, and everything, the sporran, the kilt,
right.
The bonnet, the whole works.
Yeah.
And we're standing there, and this young couple of guys walked by, and he says, "You're not Scottish." And I thought,
You've run into that once in a while, but that's in the very, very small group. Everybody we've met in Scotland has been super.
Yeah, it took the wind out of my sails.
Yeah.
I thought, oh, wow.
Because what you'll get here, like I've been wandering around today in my kilt, every once in a while even guys will say, "Cool kilt."
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, and the ladies like them. You can't knock that part.
I love it. And without getting too risque, they're anatomically correct, in my opinion.
We asked a couple of guys in one of the military groups in Scotland about underwear. In the military, you're not allowed to wear underwear under your kilt.
Wow.
But he said, if I'm doing a public event, then I'm supposed to. Like a concert, or I think he was actually in a pipe band or something like that, but it was pretty funny.
That's fantastic. Have you ever had any interest in learning how to pipe?
I have lots of interest in it, but musically I'm not very good. My wife knows music by sound. I bought a chanter, she could play it in 5 minutes.
Wow.
But I took 5 years of piano, and so I would love to learn to play the pipes.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I learned how to play 2 songs on the piano, and I've forgotten now.
Yeah.
It was years ago.
Motorboat and Chopsticks.
No, this was White Christmas and one other song, and I can't remember the name of the song. So, but no, I did buy a chanter near Edinburgh Castle. There was a store. So I thought, I'm going to learn. I'm also in the shrine, a shriner.
Okay.
And of course they have pipe bands and everything.
Right.
But I've never taken advantage of the ability to learn from them. But when I do the chanter, our dog leaps up to the ceiling and runs. And just the noise, I can just imagine how it would be if we actually had the bag and was playing. She'd never come home. She'd run out the door without us opening the door.
And most of those chanters, I don't know if they're designed that way or not, but blowing on them will give you a major headache.
Yeah.
So the one that I bought is actually an electric bagpipe.
Oh my gosh.
It's a little box with a tube, and it's actually touch sensitive on the holes, not air. My wife picked that up and was playing it in 5 minutes.
Wow. That's an art. That's a talent. It really is.
The history seems to be that the pipes actually came from somewhere around the Middle East. Mm-hmm. And in fact, two of the best pipers in the world are from northern Spain. But yeah, the pipes have gotten to be, and I first heard the pipes as a little kid in Grand Marais, Minnesota. One summer when we were up there, a band had come down from Canada and was doing a parade. And I've always liked the pipes.
Oh, they're wonderful.
Yeah.
They're so unique. I had been told several years ago that the pipes and the bagpipes themselves were invented in places like Lebanon or
Yeah, somewhere in that
the
area.
Eastern Mediterranean.
Right.
And it was told, and I'm sure this is not true, they said that they purposely played them to irritate the enemy.
Well, in World War I and World War II, the British troops, the Scottish part of the British troops, always were piped into battle, and that sound always bothered the enemy. In fact, there's the fellow that piped in the Scottish troops at Sword Beach on D-Day. They put up a statue there for him.
Wow.
They asked Germans later, how come they didn't shoot this guy? And they said, well, he's unarmed, he's got to be crazy, and why should we waste a bullet on him? And Lord Lovett, he's a Fraser, actually was in command of that group, and they asked him, why are your troops in kilts? I thought London said no more kilts in battle. He said, that's a London rule. We Scots go into battle in kilts.
Oh, I love it. The movie Braveheart, as you mentioned before, that really was exciting, and I think Mel Gibson did a terrific job of giving the history of how Scotland divorced themselves from England. And you having been there, the first time I was ever there, we drove across, I forget that city or town on the western side of England, but you go straight into Scotland, and it's like everything changes right away. So when the Romans built Hadrian's Wall, they knew what they were doing.
Right.
Because it changes right away.
Yeah, the Highlands area, even though their weather is much warmer than ours, they are much further north than the United States, but the Gulf Stream keeps them warmer. There are palm trees growing in Scotland.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, the Romans, the weather was rough on them, and then when their empire fell apart, they just left in the 400s. But yeah, it's a fascinating place.
Well, you've been fascinating, Layton. I can't thank you enough for...
Well, thank you for inviting me.
My honor, my pleasure. A great history. We've learned a lot. And now, shameless plug time. My book, it's called My Life of Mother Giants. It's different than what you might think. And it's not bragging, it's gratitude to all the people who have been so nice to me and who have been very powerful and influential in this world. So I hope you'll look for it on Amazon, and I hope you'll look for us next time on FYI. Thank you.